or Bill.
It's a bit of a late start, people, but we're gonna get there eventually. Okay, had some planned and canceled events.
Of the righteous teaches the many, but who died for all the wisdom? The rich man's wealth is in the vexation of the soul is vanity. Destruction of the whole is the body. The poor man's wealth is in a holy, holy place. Why fight each other? Why do you kill your brother? And your wall will be the We got to be a better nation. Clean up that creation. Or there will be no beautiful you will be. The lips of the righteous teach us the way. But the fools die for all of wisdom. The rich man's wealth is vexation of the soul is vanity. Destruction of holy the poor man's wealth is in a holy, holy place.
Good morning. This is Russ, WSTX 970 AM. Giving thanks, and we are grateful for another opportunity to be on this side of the planet, this side of Earth, with the opportunity to talk about lots of things, trying to talk about the things that we're actually going to do something about, or if not, at best we know that someone is doing something about it. And yeah, we kind of started late today because apparently there was a scheduled announcement that was waiting for by the governor, and yes, that was postponed or delayed, and hence the reason why there's a late start on my show. Um, we're in a political season, people. The season where honesty and distrust and all that stuff is the order of the day. So if we're going to be dealing with politics, and we know politics is going to be very deceitful and there's going to be lies, and it's the foundation of it, whether people choose to admit it or not. Um, it's going to be said because it's going to be had, it's needed in order for this territory, this colony, not to be in the position that it's in, for us, we, the adults, um, to be able to conduct ourselves appropriately if we want real change. It's not going to be, and it can't come when we're conducting the order of the day with politics as usual. The usual way of politicking, the usual way of arriving at certain particular goals, um, given the culture of the territory, the people in the territory. What's our culture? What become our tradition? Um, and the curry favoring, the friendisms, um, the personal favors, the respect of persons, the constant lying, the deception, the deceiving points when we're going to have people supporting candidates with expectation of getting something for supporting, where you're going to have people supporting them financially and otherwise, who are going to be looking for favors in return, um, where certain moral obligations are going to be abandoned, to be had, where personal rights, uh, as far as these are concerned, are going to be sacrificed to get votes. Um, and if that's the way we're going to conduct ourselves, and that's pretty much the way it is, we're not going to get anywhere conducting politics as usual. And people, we need change. We need better governance. We need the people who are going to fill these seats to be the people who have integrity. And right now, sing that story and write the song. Um, how are we going to be able to progress and do anything different if we choose to do politics as usual? Until we, the adults, can comprehend that and admit to it, Carl, I'm going to come to you. Then we can have real change. But for the past 50 years, 55, 60 years, where we've been conducting these election systems and hiring individuals, and we've been doing the politic, and we're able to or allowed to participate in these things. Um, how is it that we're going to honestly expect the needed change? How do you expect to put people in those seats to have the necessary change when the people that you're electing out of the seats are coming out of a territory, out of a people, out of a colony, out of a society where these behaviors and characteristics are the norm? And if we don't buck up against a system that's already hmm, been designed, not necessarily for failure, but failure in the sense that how the control is, who's controlling, where the mechanisms flow, how it flows, who benefits. The real changes we need is coming out of the territory, it's coming out of the society, it's coming out of your mindset. The mindset, your mindset have to change. You have to recognize what colonialism is, what it did, and what it's doing. You have to be brave enough to know that the Almighty God of righteousness gave you life and the right to enjoy it abundantly without restrictions. No fear needed. Liberation is here. We're going through the genesis state of getting rid of these things. And part of the clutter, unfortunately, coming into this colony, this territory, is for us to keep the colonial system going. You know? Um, how are we going to advance our children, who are our future, into doing anything positive if we, the adults, are failing on all levels to do the right thing on their behalf? How? We can't complain about these young people, because a lot of these young people are doing their best. They're honestly doing the best that they can. They've gotten certification, they're taking all the courses, do everything they possibly can in this difficult territory where the system of learnings are being compromised. But they still do their best, and they still can't get work. They still can't get quote unquote a job, and there's no effort on behalf of the educational system to make sure that we have competent, uh, how should I put it, that we're going to produce an environment where the competency, the intelligence of our young children will be able to participate, to be had. And if we don't correct the way we see things and do things, nothing is really going to change, because we're doing it according to politics as usual. And if we don't have candidates right now who are brave enough to move away from that politics as usual, we're not going to have the change that's necessary here. We're going to have change, yeah, of course. Like the change we've been having for the past 55 years. That's the kind of changes we're going to have. Integrity is not a word that, as a matter of fact, maybe this year a lot of things are going to change when it comes to elections in the territory, and those who believe in it, because the reality is that it is a distraction according to how the way the system is structured. But you wouldn't know that because you're encouraged to participate in it to get the changes that you need that affect you from government. And we're not all there yet. But it is a well-informed people is a powerful people. People would often reference one particular religious theme coming out of a book that would speak of the people being destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's just it. Knowledge that we're lacking. That's what's destroying the people. Um, Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling. Okay. Well, callers, you can call. Uh, you can call. Yeah. So anyway, call. Let's reason. There's a couple of events that are occurring. Um, I would like to talk on it, but I don't think we have enough time to get into it. But there's some there's some activities that are occurring here in the territory, and we're so used to not speaking truth and the slight thing with the information is that it's happening so much so that we can't get progress in this place, not the progress that we need. Um, and I can't wait till a learned people is a powerful people. And in this environment system, this election system, from election period to election period, you watch to see who have taken the time to learn the people of the things they need to learn in order for them to be individuals using their intelligence and having the confidence and the competency to know what the political arena really looks like and how they should be able to maneuver themselves through that. No one has done that. So people are just showing up from election season to election season to come before people to talk something, but the people are not learned what they're supposed to, what they should. And it's very much an informed people. Learned people are what a powerful people look like. One as is written, it said, "My people shall perish for the lack of knowledge." It didn't say for the lack of registering to vote. It didn't say for the lack of voting. It didn't say for the lack of. It's a lack of knowledge. Proper knowledge, proper use of it. We're getting caught up in too much opinions-based information that's not. A lot of the time is off of what the truth is. And we become individuals who like to presume and assume things. And when you presume and assume things without having to actually have read certain things or been exposed, we create a problem because as adults, we're somehow expected to think that when we're speaking that we know what we're talking about, right? So you put yourself in front of intelligent children and see how far you're going to get. Yes, adults. Because the fight is not, this fight is with you, but it's not for you. The fight is for the children. Waste time with adults, it's hard for them to get things in their head. They don't want to change. They don't want to take because they've been indoctrinated and learned to do differently, to do the opposite. I don't know. With so many things that we're exposed to, what's the filtering process? When are we really going to stop this? When are we just going to stop talking and speaking the obvious and really roll up our sleeves and start to do something? And in this election season, people are going to get together. They're going to organize and they're going to have functions and they're going to have cake sale and fish fry and all events. And they're going to get together because they have a cause. And the cause is to participate in the election system. And the reason why they're participating in the election system in the season is to bring about some sort of political change. So there's going to be ideologies from different camps to camps, belief systems, but the basic I do for you, you do for me. You owe me because I do this for you. I know you lying, you know I'm lying. I don't like you, you know I don't like you, you know you don't like me. You know I want to move that person up to the front of the line because of this person have the hook up, the other one have the hook down. Those are all elements that's going to tell a society that it's not going to accomplish what needs to be accomplished because again, we're friending up, we're forming strange alliances. Um, at the end of the day, what is needed to be done isn't going to be had because of the waste being produced. Don't take my word for it. The receipts are there. So in this season when people are friending up and alliances are starting to form and here we go with the slogans back and forth and people making promises they know they can't keep and telling lie in the process and cleaning it up to some degree. The people are not learned. Everything is being forced down and it's being forced in the same systematic way. Vote for this person for this reason, XYZ, but you haven't taken the time to learn the people what they need to learn so that they can independently make proper decisions and having the confidence to believe that they can do so without having to be marginalized by any of the Willie Lynch syndromes, skin color, family name, hair texture, school alliances, work alliances, personal mischief or mischievous behaviors to include all these things. And if we're going to accept that as common human trait in this territory, don't expect any real change. Don't expect governments and governance to be had to the point where uh, hospitals are going to be built from foundation to roof, fully equipped and fully staffed, competent, state of the art, competitive with any hospital anywhere on this planet. It's not going to be had. We're going to be accepting things like they're doing right now. As a matter of fact, we have to make the effort to call the Commissioner of Education because the CZM, Coastal Zone Management, had a community meeting, quote unquote, um, earlier on this month, and I think it was on the 7th. And they spoke as if they had already had community meetings, and they didn't. And they spoke as if they were going to continue to have community meetings, and they didn't, and they don't plan to the coastal zone anymore. So now it's from what we were meant to be, what we was meant to understand is that now it is going to have to be requested via the Commissioner of Education for her to hold a community meeting relative to the status of Claudio Marco School and what they plan to do and how they plan to do it. So again, in a society, if things were being done, we wouldn't be falling for things that we're having right now with our school systems. Schools are being shuttered in neighborhoods for no apparent reason. You have people in offices telling and speaking nonsense that schools are in tsunami zones. Schools have mold. Uh, there's water problem in the 2026, and we're still entertaining foolishness coming from these people in these offices. When at the same time, they're admitting to having billions of dollars for health and education. And look at where we're at. If you have candidates coming into office right now and they're not willing to shut the government down, we're not doing anything, people. And what's needed, factual, based on the receipts. These are not opinions. Based on the receipts and factual. With the misappropriating of monies, stealing of monies, and the lack of uh, fiduciary duties. The only way to correct it is to shut the government down. Freeze everything. Any candidates coming before you trying to talk anything else but that, don't expect any change. Just expect the Band-Aid issue, the Band-Aid effect, the I told you so, the I's are coming forward in this season. And it's not a nice, some people love these kind of seasons. It's not a season to hypocrites. Who's going to outsmart who? Whose lie is going to work better? Who is going to deceive? Who's going to use who? But, we're conditioned to believe that the answer is going to be in the election system, where votes are going to be cast or not going to be cast, how they're going to be counted, who is controlling them. Everyone has to believe and has to move forward thinking that that is the answer to correcting where we are as a people. And that is not the answer. It is part of it, but it's not it. So if you don't have a well learned people, you're going into this system blind, expecting to get a result that's going to benefit you. And it's never rigged. I should say it's never designed for you to benefit if you don't know the mechanics of it. And right now, the people in the territory, the electorates, many know the mechanics, but most don't. And it goes beyond it, goes all the way back to the US and the state, how it was designed, how it was created, who was forced then to participate. And as a result of that, now here we go, neo-colonialists figuring that they're doing something, and all they're doing is filling the seats that the colonizer designed and left behind for them to fill. And they figure because, again, this is how slavery works. You have not moved past the enslavement period, so you're operating in a system that was the slave master pretty much designed and left for you to operate, and you figure that you've conquered it, so therefore you've arrived and you're doing things that benefits you. And to some degree, you are doing things that benefit you, but according to the system that the colonizer have designed, you haven't done that. They have. And we expect honest change. And you want to know why we're suffering here. Pay attention to the fact that there's a block here of people who have not registered to vote and they don't vote, but they control and run things. And it's a big population. But we're encouraged out of not having all the information as to focusing on these things. And when you focus on these things, you get distracted. And there's a reason why the distraction is there. There's a reason why it's there. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hey, good morning, Brother Russ. What's up?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, good spirit. All right. I just want to touch bases with you, just a little conversation, because like you said, let's reason for the season, right? So they were giving out these papers to us on certain places, which is the executive order, number 54-961, which was filed in December of 1961, file number 177. So, I like to read things, but yet still going to the depth of it, write down little words to figure out what's the meaning behind of it. Because sometimes we could just read things and not really pay attention or understand, which would be comprehension, right? So now, I wrote down this thing. So it says, right, in the legal language, the government usually means the governmental body employing or authorizing them. So the federal government of the United States, a state government, a local municipality. So now, serve the whole people. So I wrote that down and I asked, what's that mean? So I got, public servants are supposed to work for everyone in the public. This is what they're giving us, at our jobs or whatever, wherever you are. I don't know why they're giving us that, because we're not the problem. We're not the issue. Our issue is legislature and the government, governor and all of them, right? We're the servants, but they're public servants also. We're all of us is public servants. We're supposed to serve and help each other, right? So it says public servants are supposed to work for everyone in the public. Then it says not just themselves, friends, political allies, rich donors, one race, one group, or one party. But that's what we have going on in our territory for 60 plus years now, right? Okay. So in plain terms, it says a police officer is supposed to protect all citizens. All, not who they know, right? Okay. Just like they were supposed to protect the young lady that, was unalive on a job. It says a police officer is supposed to protect all citizens, including her. A judge is supposed to apply the law fairly. So now, when we was talking about the VI history and all these things, isn't it the same judge that denied our children that right to learn the history? So right then and there, they're not even abiding by their own rule. Like they ain't even abiding by the executive order, number 54-961, but they're giving us these papers. You know why? Because they're playing us. Right. Elected officials are supposed to represent all constituents. Now, can somebody please tell me, have any of these senators represented us? Where? Now, this is based on Executive Order number 54-961. Agencies are supposed to act for public interest, not personal gain. And we have had that repeatedly done to us. Repeatedly, I don't care which administration, which legislature sitting there, I don't care. It's an ideal, here it says, it's an ideal statement about impartial duty. It does not mean they always succeed at it. This is what it's saying. It means the system claims they are obligated to act on behalf of the entire public, not selectively. So we have been having that done to us, like I said repeatedly, 60 plus years now, and we're still getting a beat down. So impartial, what does impartial mean? Neutral and fair. We have not had that. Duty means obligation. That's what duty means, an obligation. Has any of these senators did they do these? No, they haven't. Then together, the word together means they are expected to act without personal bias, while carrying out their responsibilities. Okay? Another thing I want to touch bases with you, if it's okay, a little bit, just a little time. Now you got the Black Caucus, Congressional Black Caucus, right? That was founded in 1971. And we're in 2026. They've been around for 55 years. I would like somebody who's ever listening to name one thing the Congressional Black Caucus did. Name one thing for so-called Black Americans. You could say the DEI, you could say affirmative action, right? But when the DEI came through, they ain't do a thing. Not all they gave a speech, because that's how we'll get from our Black people that's in these positions, speeches, which they do all the time, right? And then they take these photos. I'll give you a prime example. Just like when right, gave people in Williams the grant. They asked all of those people to come to the legislature so they could take pictures and shake hands and have this photo up. But I'm just saying, this is what we do as people, right? Then they'll host conferences or they'll create some symbolic resolution that they wanted you to support. So my question would be, so what did they change in favor of the so-called Black Americans, families? That's all I want to know. One of the guys then that's a part of the Black Caucus, his name is Al Green. He's been there for 20-something years, I think, and he lost his seat. So I guess some people want change, but I just wanted to point my reasoning in today's discussion, because this is the season and everybody with this voting thing still, and I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in.
Well, thank
you.
You
have a good day.
I appreciate that. What was that, before you leave, what was that number that you referenced, the bill number?
Number 54-961, the executive order.
54-961, okay. And what year was that in? What year was it?
It was filed December 28, 1961.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, caller. Yeah, I'm sorry, people. Yeah, this is what we talk about. That's a bill that was passed in 1961. Wow. And what we have to pay attention to is when addressing these words in these documents, when the government wants to fool you, they would deliberately not use certain words, or they would use a word deliberately, knowing that it represents to some people one thing and to others something else, or they would use words that they can use interchangeably. And one of the words that they've been able to successfully use interchangeably is the word public. Because public really means government, it doesn't mean people. But they would use it interchangeably to have people believe that when they're speaking of X, Y, Z, you're supposed to assume that they're talking about the people when you're not. And it is very easy, if their intent was to differentiate between the government and the people, you would say government, or you would say people. Or you would say public, because public is government. It's not people. That's not a private thing, it's government. Then you would say government, or you would say people if you want to distinguish. But if you want to have people not comprehend when you put these things in document, you would allow for people to assume what you're saying when you use the word public, because majority of people are going to think that public means people. And to make a short run of it, public, 2 consonants, people have 2. So it's not a stretch. So if they want to be clear, they would say people when they really mean people. But when you want to leave the waters murky and muddy, you would use the word public. So, that being said, people, we have top of the hour. So we're gonna be back in a few. Um, but we do have a couple of things, and I guess people do call in. Uh, it's just time for reasoning. It's the season for lies and deceit. It's not a good thing, but we have to go through it regardless, right? So see you in a few.
WSTX.
Yeah, can't take the slogans no more. And this is the season where slogans are going to be had. Some people are thinking of new ones as we speak, and some are resurrecting old ones. But they're tired of the slogans. Um, in this deceitful season, some people love this season. They love to be among the hypocrites. They love to be around the liars. It's a sporting event for some people. And in the process, our children are suffering. Um, we are only as honest as the Almighty of righteousness knows us to be, nothing else. And as adults, you have to know and believe that you are intelligent. No one can argue that with you. I will say it. What's grossly lacking in this territory is integrity. So I'm waiting for these political candidates, these aspirants, those who are incumbent and those seeking office to use that word because they're going to be challenged. And for that matter, it is going to be had where there's a wall of integrity, and anyone who promotes it, speaks it to it, will confidently be willing, should be willing to put their names on the wall. Because if you have nothing to hide and you want to come before the people to do a good bidding, then you should be willing to sign the wall of integrity and put your name up on it. Because then you would lend yourself to be checked according to what the word represents. So candidates coming before the people should be gladly willing to put their name because they have nothing to hide. They're coming to do the bidding of the people. And there's closets and there's closets and there's skeletons in closets. Some people have skeletons, some people don't. What type of skeletons are in people's closet? You know, um, if you don't speak to the integrity of someone and having receipts to show it, you're not talking about an ignorance of what people don't know, what you're just seeing, what you hear. You're talking about everything. That what you don't hear, that what you don't know. Because the last time I checked, it is severely lacking. And that's just fact, verifiable truth. And I don't know people how we're going to insist that we need change and the ways in which you think that change has to be done. And you have not separated from the change, or should I say, from the structured behavior and policies and tests so far. If we haven't migrated away from that, how do we expect to have any change that will bring about decent infrastructure, fully equipped and competent hospitals, and schools in our neighborhoods, the best of schools equipped from foundation to roof, so that our children and the system of learning put in place so that our children can actually learn. They'll be able to defend themselves as a people 10, 15, 20 years from now. You know, Mr. Copeman would remind us every week. One of the things he would remind us was that the ruling of a nation begins in the home of its people. So one of the things you always want to make sure is that the home of the people is always in some form of disarray. It's never fully, functioning. And when the homes are lost, the village is lost. And you can't make believe that there's a village now when there isn't, based on a political need, a political season. It don't work like that. Uh, Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hey, beloved Russ.
Hey, good morning.
Morning. Listen, I thank you. I thank you. Even when I don't thank you, I thank you. You know, your disposition, your demeanor. I mean,
Bendición, familia.
Dios lo bendiga, mi hermano. The way you speak, you know, it really, I think even babies can understand what it is you're saying, you know, what it is you're trying to convey. So this morning, I just called him to share with you that I am holding on to hope. I know for a fact that it's the elder generation, those older than us, and our generation, maybe few younger than us, are participating in the election process. In my opinion, that I keep hearing. And we're going to really see this time go wrong where the elders' heart at, or where our heart is at. You know, whether we really want change, whether we want better for our children, or whether we don't care. You know, it's going to speak boldly, loudly, this time go wrong, you know, because we've been saying it for the past couple of elections, Brother Russ. And, you know, it just don't seem to be falling on the right ears. And if it is falling on the right ears, you know, it's like it's falling on deaf ears, you know. So I appreciate you. I pray God keep you healthy and strong. That you could continue to be there. You know, nowadays, truth is a hard pill for some people to swallow. And even when you speak, and you're speaking on facts, you know, Brother Russ, they want to just get rid of you. I feel like, you know, I have been threatened just with opening my mouth, standing up for right, Brother Russ, you know, and wanting right, Brother Russ. I want nothing especially for me. I want nothing especially for you. I want it for all of us, Brother Russ. I want it for all of us here and all of us to come. I can't speak about all that have gone already. But it is so critical that you remain there and that you and I can pray about it. You know, that God keep you healthy and strong, because I really do appreciate. I don't call you much, but I sit down and I listen to you. And I think that's what a lot of us need to just stop doing, is stop listening and hear and act, because action is a verb that means that demonstrates where your heart is at, you know. And that's what I'm praying for, Brother Russ. And I thank you for allowing me to speak on your show these few minutes of your time, you know. But it is so critical, you know. I wish your show was longer than it is, you know. But I'm satisfied with, you know, the little time that I get to spend with you on the radio, bro. I really am.
Well, thank you, caller. We have work to do. It's not me against you against me, us against them, you know. But there's work to be done, and if we're here doing things, and with every facet of government or governance that we need, if our children they're not in our mind when we're doing these things, it's of no use.
Exactly.
And so
thank
far,
you again, brother. Have a blessed end of the week.
You do the same. Thank you. And caller, if we don't honestly address these things, nothing is going to happen, because it's politics as usual. Somebody's supporting somebody with the expectation of getting something in return for supporting them. Not because they want a change, not because they want better governance. And if that's the reason why they do it, then you wouldn't be expecting, you know, because to properly fit this territory, we have to be honest, and it can't be friend up. It can't be the nepotisms and the friendisms and everything else. It can't be that. So now, how do you tell a politician that he's not going to deceive or tell his followers or her followers certain truths, when the reasons why they're supporting is for a change, but somewhere along the line, the change has to do with quid pro quo, I do for you, you do for me. I supported you, so I expect you to, you know. And it's okay, because not everyone is doing it for them. But a great many of them are doing these things, and that's where we're going to go wrong. Because we don't want to be honest here, we want to be political. And in the meantime, again, Commissioner Hendrickson, you have an obligation to the people here in St. Croix, and in particular, the school systems in the Virgin Islands. But for right now, here in St. Croix, where they're planning to demo Claudio Marco School and rebuild, and at the same time, they're planning to demo and rebuild Alexander Henderson, both at the same time. That's the foolishness. This is the type of attack that we're being under when it comes to our future and our children, that you have to disrupt the children to put them on a construction site. and you have these foolish individuals, developers coming to tell you these things, and there's no pushback from any of you in these government offices for getting a paycheck every 2 weeks to do what? To have people come and sell you a bag of goods that doesn't even benefit the children at the end of the day. Millions of dollars being available to build these schools, and I guess it's gonna go the route of the Paddy Joseph Stadium if anybody's been into that place lately. The Arthur Richards School, that should really be the Evelyn Williams School, that's gonna have problems in the next 10 years. Guaranteed. Don't care who says what. And then look at the developers, look at the contractors who are there, friend it up, connect up. I know this, I know that. It has to stop. But the only way it's going to stop is when we in the territory, we in the society, stop doing these things ourselves. Because lots of people like to steal and they're still stealing. Some of them are still having affairs with minors. Pedophilia. The culture of the lewd behavior, man meeting woman, woman meeting men, and everything has to do with the sexual content outside of the norm, and the children are growing up with this as a culture. They're hearing these things and they're seeing these things. But we want to focus on Epstein because now it's a reason to focus on Epstein not having full knowledge of what Epstein was doing until recently, 5 years. But if you pointed these things out to these individuals, it wasn't going to be a problem. It's only a problem because of the magnitude and who got involved and to what extent. But you have to understand that what Epstein brought here, he didn't bring here. He met the energy here already. So you bring that kind of mentality, that kind of spiritualism into this place. It's only here to match what we already had here in the territory. Speak to that. Take your energy and just use as much energy as that to correct that type of behavior. But it's not going to be had because a lot of them who are complaining about Epstein are doing very similar things in slightly different ways. And that's the problem we have. We have a culture here that don't respect. What they want to say is respect is actually, I guess it's tradition now. I apologize, there's a call coming in. I just want to make sure it's cleared. Call is gone. Call is gone. Oh yeah, people, the lines are free and sometimes you have two people calling at the same time. So we're going to be mindful. Everybody can talk. If I recognize that there's someone on hold, I'll let you know. That way we can get everybody in. And people, don't be afraid to call. We're not here to fight against anybody. We're not here to argue or challenge anyone. We're just here to speak on fact verifiable things because we're intelligent that one we could do it. No one is going to be left behind. And who's ever left behind is left behind for a reason because they're going to do the cleaning up. But we don't want anyone left behind because they're disenfranchised based on what they know and what they don't know. We're all intelligent people here. We just have to get to the point where we stop giving people fish. That's the first step, and start teaching people how to fish. I have a call coming in. I can't tell what line it's on. Thank you, caller, for calling. Good morning. Thank you for calling. Okay. No answer, so I guess people are having fun. Yeah, if we don't change our mindset here in the territory, and if we don't recognize fully that we are intelligent people, can't take that from anybody. Anybody would be a fool to argue that. But where do we humble ourselves down to? They don't want to see us live together. Remember, Bob sang it, and they don't want you doing. And part of the doing and what affects them not wanting us to be together is when we get together for what purpose and for what cause. It makes no sense to criticize the scourge that Epstein brought here if you're participating in similar stuff and teaching the children. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good morning, Brother Russ.
Morning.
Okay, good morning. Yes, I'm just calling regarding all the situation that is going on right now, since we are in the season of election time, especially mayoral elections. It's very interesting, right, that people right now, it's actually kind of tragic that people right now actually willing to give a majority of these candidates that are running for office another vote. So many years, so many of these same politicians were being reelected into office. And right now, you got some of them running for gubernatorial election or as a lieutenant governor for election. And it's tragic because it proves that we really don't have no true leadership here. And that a lot of these individuals are all really, the only thing you can say is corrupt. They are truly corrupt because there's no way you can possibly justify continuing to re-elect these individuals. And looking at everything tragic that has been happening, regardless of who is president in the United States, everything tragic that has been happening to us in the Virgin Islands, in particular St. Croix. One of them in particular, running for lieutenant governor, former police commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
He's been senator for, I can't even remember, at least 5 terms as far as I know. He actually stands a chance of getting in. And we all know that if he, as a Democrat, gets in as lieutenant governor, the way it falls here in the Virgin Islands, he's going to run for governor. Being that he's a Democrat, he stands an even higher chance of getting elected. And the fact that we could really try and continue to elect individuals like this man into office. I mean, we lack the knowledge of how to vote, or the media continues to lie to us, or we truly, really don't know how to govern ourselves. That's tragic. That is tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, everything that is going on here in the Virgin Islands, we have to put it on them. These 15 senators, this executive branch officer, and the delegate to Congress. And right now, here we go again, all over again. Everybody likes to say vote, vote, vote. Voting has not done really anything. I don't want to tell anybody not to vote or whether or not who they should vote for. So I'm saying voting has never accomplished nothing here in the Virgin Islands. It has never benefited us. And at the same time, here we go again, proof once more. There is not one single candidate in the legislature running right now that is really worthy of getting votes here in St. Croix. I can't speak for St. Thomas, but I can only speak for St. Croix since I'm from St. Croix. And here we go again, how many are running for delegate to Congress? Who is really worthy of running for delegate to Congress? Who is really worthy of becoming the delegate to Congress? With all of this, and now the gubernatorial candidates right now, as far as I know, 2 have been disqualified. And that's kind of funny because I don't understand how a simple issue like this could cause these 2 gubernatorial candidates to get disqualified. Either they really were not worthy of running, or it's just more proof to show that some incompetent people are running for office. I don't know how you want to look at it. Okay?
Yeah, but look at it for what it is.
Let me just say this to finish this off, because we're going back again through the whole Virgin Island election process, this time for gubernatorial. I have said this for years, and I will continue to say, And again, I'm not going to tell anybody yes or no if you should or should not vote. I'm just going to say this. The less people that vote send a bigger statement, not just to the Virgin Islands government, but to the U.S. federal government. The less people that vote send a bigger statement because it shows we don't have confidence in any of you all that are running for office. Okay? That is my 2 cents right now for you. And back again, I just want to say this Lieutenant Governor, the former Senate and Commissioner of the Police Department, probably one of, I will not, let me not say the dirtiest, but I would say, in my opinion, one of the, well, let me leave it at that. Let me not say it quickly, but thank you for your call.
Thank you, caller, for calling.
Okay, thank you.
A lot said, and we could reason off of that. And while you were saying that, I was happened to reading some of the comments, and one of the comments on the live coming from a flourishing. I agree with you, where you're stating that you would like to see a list of candidates who would sign on and at least sign something saying how loyal they're going to be to the voters, right? And that's where the wall of integrity is going to come in. For the very same thing that the previous caller is talking about. You know, if anybody in the territory, in this colony, who wants to run as an aspirant or incumbent, any of those, who are willing to come before the people to prove that they have integrity, they should be glad to put their names on that wall. Because then you have to live up to the fact that you've made a commitment. Promises are meant to be broken, secrets are meant to be told. So I'm not keeping any secrets, and I don't want any promises from people. Just do it. So they would have enough confidence in themselves to put their names on that wall, because then you don't have anything to hide. So, caller, you mentioned one particular aspirant right now, and that's going to be interesting this year, because we're going to find out what integrity really looks like from some of these candidates, and they would make the mistake to use that word, because I would more than challenge them on that word, integrity. So when they come before the people talking nice with their slogans, here we go again, like Bob said, tired of the slogans, tired of the slogans. Can't take them anymore, saying everything to accomplish people. Trying to in essence deceive the people at the end of the day. And we have to have enough confidence. It's a learned people. We have to learn, the margin. We don't have much of a margin when it comes to learning certain things as adults. And what we need to know, if we're willing to accept change, are the things that's not going to sit easily in some people, because they've been indoctrinated into thinking things, and that's what they've been exposed to all their life. That's why they went to school, got the exposure, they watch TV, has the exposure, everything pretty much, right? So it's very difficult for someone to feel comfortable enough to address that. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Good morning, Mr. Christopher.
Good morning. This is Russ.
One of the things that they were very instrumental in doing is to remove civics from the classroom.
Right.
And I think that the majority of us in the Virgin Islands still don't have a quite good definition of what government represents and what these positions represent. Oftentimes we refer to our senators in the wrong way. Their jobs are to appropriate money and to create laws. But what we as a people don't understand is that we're the ones supposed to be vetting these laws. We're the ones supposed to be having a way in and being more a participant in the structures of how these laws are implemented and actually created. So I think that's one of the things that we need to learn. We also need to learn that their responsibility for holding us accountable for the money that they appropriate in these departments. And I think that is a total breakdown in government, because if they come before them unprepared, and each time they come you say to them, when you come back, or send this to me by email, or we'll review this next time.
Exactly.
It never happens. No one never asks. They know we're not going to know. They have removed access to what they do on a public forum. Most people can't view this unless they have internet, they have YouTube. How much of our seniors are really in depth to knowing that you can't access these platforms like the legislature the way we used to before? It's not played on the radio. Most people are busy with their lives to log on to see things that's going on. It's only when we have major legislation that may affect a cross-section of our people is when you hear people talk about a particular bill. It might be something that's uncomfortable to them, so you may hear more of a community outcry. But after that, there's nothing done, and there's never any follow-up. And they know that we know this. And they play on our emotions. And I'm glad you talked about the political season, because one of the things that sickens me is going to funerals and having political people show up, talking to the very families that you know that we have a suffering healthcare system, that our elderly people are mostly going away and tragically dying away, and having to find their way back, and their families having to connect based on the void of us having true hospital systems in the territory. And they will sit there and they will watch the grieving of the families that lose touch when people are losing their lives in the last few minutes. And I don't understand how you could even bring yourself to come into a venue like that. You know, they're lucky that we're not a people of reprisal against each other at certain times. They're really lucky, because it's shameful to know that we don't have what we should have, and that our healthcare system in particular has gone back 30 years. It hasn't progressed. There's no way it has progressed. It has digressed. And we walk around thinking, oh, let's add more airlifting. Understand this. You must be stabilized to be airlifted. It doesn't matter what you have, what carrier you have. You must go in there to be stabilized to be airlift. So no, the answer is not creating more airlift. It's to hold these people accountable and to put the right people in hospital systems that know how to run them.
And Carla, the funniest thing is that that's just the problem. I wish you would repeat that, because people don't get that, what you just said. The most important thing is for them to be stabilized. In order for them to be med back out, they have to be stabilized. And then again, they're adding to be able to have more airlift here and make it affordable. This is the madness that we have come to. Not that we should have competently running, fit, state-of-the-art hospital functioning, that we should be having more airlifts. I don't.
And that's insanity, because oftentimes families are displaced. It is a major cost, you know, for them to have these services away that we readily had in the territory somewhat 12 years ago, 15 years ago. So we gone backwards. And everybody walk around thinking that, oh, well, I will never have to need that. Oh, I have this carrier and that carrier. You have to go eat, and you must be stabilized before you can fly. And hopefully you're stabilized, or you make it through that particular situation to be airlifted. And that's the question, you know. And I will always say that there's many things that you need, but understand that healthcare is a human right. Just like education is a human right. It's not a civil right. It's a human right.
That's right. Thank you, Carla.
It's a community right.
It is.
Governments of the world are to guarantee life and safety. And right now, that's not happening on the level that it should happen. So understand that as much as we scream at these senators, if you really don't understand what they do And you can't speak the lingo in front of them to put them on their heels, to show them how inept many of them are. Okay? They don't care. They just want your vote. Because you feel you could go to them and grouse, and then they come and they fix a little something for you, or they give you a little hookup because they know somebody, and you feel they've done something, so then you give them their vote. That's not what their job is. That's not what they are elected to do. And until we understand that our children, even coming up, now not having any civics, will not know how to hold these people accountable, and don't understand how true governance goes, how are we going to continue? Because the end of the day is, the end of the day, they know that we don't know.
Yes.
They know that. They pretty much know that, because I'll tell you this. Tell me why it is that the governance says that, for example, different agencies can charge other agencies. They can penalize other agencies. They can close down other agencies for violating laws. And they do nothing. They do nothing. This own government don't keep internal government in check. So therefore, it's a joke. So we have to ask ourselves, yes, we're new to this. We haven't been governing ourselves for a very long time. You say it all the time. So it's a learning process, but once we're learning, we're demising, so we don't have time to play around. There's a lot of new blood in the Senate. I'm hoping that a lot of the new blood, younger people, are elected, but I'm hoping they're not politically influenced or poisoned already and coming with an agenda. And that's where we're going to see. So let's see. There's many candidates on the ballot. I wish them all luck. I hope their intentions are pure. And I hope, like you said, that they have the major word, integrity. With that, I just wanted to share that with you. Because as long as we don't understand what our rights are, our human rights, we will never understand how we fit into society and how we make a difference in our community.
Thank you.
So you have a good rest of the afternoon.
Thank you,
It's going to
Carl.
be an interesting political season. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl, for stating these things. And people like the caller said, very important, the health status here in the territory, because I've been hearing it myself. We need to get more airlifting done. We need to make it more affordable. All of these things, and the airlifting now is an industry that's doing good because of our lack of having hospitals. We're in 2026. Movers and shakers in this talent show are still sitting down talking about modular hospital, way past the expiration date of these, to show you how, according to that racist justice referred to the people in the territory as insula, they're proving in fact that what he was saying, they're living up to these things, and we're here having to deal with it, knowing better. Again, like the caller pointed out, civics in school. If you're not approaching anything from a human right perspective, it is not worth pursuing. Period. To include civil rights is not human rights. And when we fail to understand, like the caller pointed out, health care being offered through a government is a human right. The government is supposed to be taking care of its people. It's the government, as far as the hospital is concerned, is not supposed to be a pecuniary instrument. It's not supposed to be there to make monies, but to actually serve the people. That's why in certain parts of this world, there's certain governments where people are getting free health care. It's not all that difficult. But we operate under a system of capitalism. And capitalism, people, cannot exist without some form of slavery. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. That's what capitalism is. It's based on money making, pecuniary purposes, having the need of a system of slavery. And when I say slavery, don't go to the shackles and, don't, we mean slavery, a system structured to abuse people. And civics is not taught in the schools, so how are our children going to be able to defend themselves when they know the function of the government, what the mechanics are, when we're doing these things deliberately now, as well as the history, the civics is still not being taught in school the way it's supposed to. But what are we going to do?
Good morning, WSTX. Okay, hold on.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling.
Hey, it's me again, one more last time for the last round. That familiar voice that I just heard, I'm so glad to hear that familiar voice. It's been a while. I really want to ask, where is the $500,000 that was appropriated by MAP in 2016 for our children to learn civic? I remember I asked that question at a time. I used to push that. And Dr. Pikey was saying that if he's not mistaken, they're supposed to have some kind of curriculum, in place. We haven't seen it yet. So here we go again with more lies. She also touched bases on something that was very informative. But you also gotta look at when our children graduate from high schools and things. These same people goes on these stages, which is the commissioner and the governor and whoever, and they shake our children's hands.
Imagine that.
And tell them congratulations, but they don't have a job here for them.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, when are we? Well, anyway, I'm not going to say when are we. Let me take that back. We just have to try our best to educate our people, even if we're in a laundry. Wherever we are, we could just talk to whoever that wants to listen. Maybe they might go home and think about what we said. So I guess that's the only way we'll be able to reach people is through the grocery stores, through the laundries and stuff like that, But one more thing I want to say. I was on the Vitron the other day, no problem. I used to ride the Vitron a long time ago, but my God, them senators need to go on the Vitron and ride it themselves. The Vitron is so terrible that the noise is unbearable. You need to have earplugs in your ear when you're there and need Vitron. Because imagine our elderly them that gets on those buses from Christiansted to Frederiksted and got to hear a bunch of shaking and then bus like if the bus ain't going to come apart. This is what we're going through out here.
In 2026.
Our elderly them riding them Vitron a lot because a lot of young people, everybody got cars. And I believe it was by design. I believe that the car placed them working with the government too. That's why they kind of downsize a lot of the transportation. So we could go run to the car dealer now and go and get a car. So everything is by design here in the Virgin Islands. And I'm going to leave you with that, my brother, and do your show. Thank you for the time. And the familiar voice that just spoke, arise, my sister, and keep it pushing. Thank you.
Thank you again, caller, for calling. I don't know, Miss Anna. I think if we were honestly going to be honest, again, we are only as honest as the Almighty God of righteousness knows us to be. And there's a lot of people who are believing their own lies, and that's a dangerous person. Stay away from that, When they have a mission and they don't care who does what, they have to stay away from that. That's a problem. And callers, I thank you for calling and sharing. And I know that if and when calls are being made, it's because people are going to make the effort to correct it. And when we make the efforts to correct it, we're going to correct it with a form of dignity, because we do have to address the children. If is anything more important is what the future of this territory is going to look like. And the territory is going to be filled, as far as the future is concerned, we want to believe it's our children who's going to be there filling these roles, representing us, this territory, in 10, 15 years. But if we don't pay attention to what's been happening around us, where there's two existing economies, the one that they have you locked into, and you have a margin of people who are not registered to vote. That's a fact. They don't vote. That is a fact. They don't intend to vote. That is a fact. And they're running key structures in this economy. That's a fact. So when we've been failing to learn our people what's needed to benefit us as a territory collectively, we're failing to do so. Opportunities was lost. Now, in this election season, you want to come before people to do and say what? Speak electioneering, speak politics, and speak promises. But the opportunity to learn a people, to give them the foundation and the base that they would need independently, not depending on anyone to validate whether they're intelligent or not, because I have confidence that our people are intelligent and they can comprehend once comprehension is brought to them in a particular manner. I have confidence that we're intelligent enough to do that. But we're caught up into a system where traditionally and culturally now, everybody is giving somebody a fish. And that's a control mechanism when you keep on giving people a fish, keep on giving them a fish. They're always going to be depending on the person giving the fish or waiting for somebody to give them the fish. But when it comes time to have enough confidence individually as intelligent people here that we can learn to fish, you buck up against those who are teaching you how to fish in preference for those who are giving you a fish. Nothing is going to change. Teaching people to fish is not always easy. You're not always going to like it, but guess who is going to benefit at the end of it? The person who's learned now to fish for themselves and now can teach somebody else to do so. But traditionally and culturally, you want to hear somebody come and speak nicely to you, say nice things, and cut your throat and stab you in the back in the process. And it doesn't matter how you tell people the truth. Once they're set to not accept it, they're not going to accept it for various reasons. So I'm glad, callers, that I can see that people are focusing on the fact that, yeah, these politicians should come up and make their election no clearer, separate themselves from whoever's there. And one of the callers was suggesting to put the name on the list. Yeah, that's where the wall of integrity is coming. Because now once you put your name up there, you're telling us that it's okay to do deep background checks, deep background checks to include rumors and everything, to clear all these things up, right? Because one of the most important things that we have to realize in society is that opinions are strong and sometimes opinion rules things, not having facts, right? So when it comes to this issue of politics, as usual, it is not going to benefit us here in the territory for the things that we need to be taken care of. It's not going to benefit us, and that's what's happening now. Who's supporting who, and who's going to donate to who cause, and what that's going to look like. I see people right now forming some serious and hypocritical alliances, and it's for this political season. So at best, it's coming with a front that's not genuine. It's a fraudulent front, and we expect here this scourge, this spiritual suppression that we're under to lift with that kind of mentality, that kind of spirituality. Is not going to work to benefit the people. It's going to change, yeah, but for whom and at what cost, according to Mr. King. So if we really need real changes, look at where we are right now, right? Hospitals, schools, infrastructure. And not to mention agriculture, because agriculture people, they have it here telling the world that we have an agricultural industry here in the Virgin Islands, here in the territory. We have an agricultural industry. This is what they're telling people. What agricultural industry do we have here in this territory? We don't have an agricultural industry here. The kind of foods that we would need to be able to sustainably anyway, this population here, God forbid, 2 years a year, not having to have this dependency of these third-rate cargo foods being brought in here. the kind of food that we have and need to be produced here, we're not even approaching 1 or 2% of it. And that's just the food that's necessary to be able to sustain a population of 80,000 people, lower using the lower number. We don't have that, but yet they're telling people that we have an agricultural industry. We have a Department of Agriculture doing what? We have, for that matter, we have the universities extension doing what? As far as agriculture is concerned, we don't have an industry. We have a lot of talks. There's a lot of land here that's, anyway, don't have enough time to get into these things. And time is what we need. So hopefully maybe, um, let's see what's going to be allowable today. Um, we were delayed a half hour, um, waiting for the governor. I guess had an announcement and it was rescheduled. Um, the more things change, the more they remain the same, people. And mentioning the governor, Albert Bryan Jr., people, I would like for you to please remember that Governor Albert Bryan Jr. presented us with an executive order number 540-2025. That's the executive order on the ethical code of conduct, signed into effect in January of 2025. There is an executive order telling government officials and agents how to conduct themselves, ethically speaking. That's what that executive order speaks to. It was also a political ploy when it was done, given the nature of the beast that was coming from the US and its administration, right? Political chess game being played. But nonetheless, Governor Albert Bryan Jr. produced this executive order on ethical conduct for agents and employees of the Virgin Islands government. And when he had written, done, and signed this executive order and put it into place, he would have violated more than 75% of the things that was put on it. And though he did present us with a very good executive order, very well written, very well read, all the elements of it is appropriate. We have to go forward now with individuals who are currently in seat and in government to include the commissioners, and in particular, the Commissioner of Health and the Commissioner of Education. Two very important things because that's the two offices that affect our children. And the children are our future. So Miss Hentington Wells, I think that's your name. I can't remember right now. Forgive me for not having it fully. Reach out to the community to establish a community gathering relative to the status of Claudio Marcos schools and what they plan to do and not do with the monies allotted to have done to make sure that we don't wind up with a Paul E. Joseph Stadium, neither an Arthur Richards School, where monies are just given over to people and our children don't benefit from it. It makes no sense to have a school that's going to be not worth anything in 10 years. Something is going to be wrong with it. And it makes no sense, again, like one of the previous callers explained, as far as civics is concerned, and what the duties of the responsibilities of the senators are, and what the duties and responsibilities of the people in the territory and the electors, what their responsibilities are. It's not always on the senators, it's on you, we, us, to get involved on all issues, no matter what part of this territory you're in. What we know here on St. Croix, we've been suffering unnecessarily with a lot of things, right? It's just the truth. And you have to be careful who's going into office right now because, and that's just talking about agriculture, one of the elements. We don't have an agricultural industry here. God forbid we have to go without imported foods. And who's importing these foods, and what kind of foods are being imported, and what's the mechanism behind the foods being imported, and who's doing it, and why, and to what extent. So there's work to be done, and we could do this. And I know we can because we have a lot of individuals, very knowledgeable people in these areas, very well learned in these areas. And we have work to do. And the answer to this is not, unfortunately, can't be the elections. It has to be in what knowledge the people have, not the election system. We need governance, proper governance. And in order to have that done, we need competent people with integrity in those offices to have that done. So the answer is not the mechanism that's needed to have the change. The mechanism is who and where the elements are coming from. And we're going to have to work on ourselves here, because the last time I checked, it didn't look too well for those of us who are at best prostitutes. They have, abandoned and neglected all their moral responsibilities for personal and financial gain. The fiber that they want to talk about Epstein and who made the Epstein file. The only reason why some people didn't make the Epstein file is because they weren't there 20 years ago, as they would be on the Epstein list right now. You have to know that. And in order for you to stop criticizing the Epstein, you have to start criticizing those of us who are in the territory who are actually participating and have similar behaviors and teaching it and passing it on to our children and saying that it's not the same thing when in fact it is. But you see now how and who is going to correct that when how many people are participating in these types of activities, looseness of tongue, disrespectful of male or female with the looseness of the tongue, the expectation, and these are behaviors that were forced upon us from the enslavement period and carried over, and people are trying to justify it as not being certain things. So let's go into council, putting aside our likenesses. Our likenesses are understood. We can put aside these things, and let's start addressing the differences for what they really are. And once we address the differences, we don't have to worry about the likenesses. With people, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the slogans. I'm tired of this political season, because I already know the lies and the deceptions that's going to be told, the hypocrisy, the promises that's going to be kept. I mean, that's not going to be kept. I'm sorry. But I would always ask you and remind you to never give up or sell your rights, to be given or to purchase privileges. And our ancestors would always ask us to walk good in favor. See you guys next week.
Paintings of smokers all over the streets, confusing the people while your asphalt